So today we're taking a look at an amazing game I had the other day in the T61 in ranked. And this is tier 7 ranked, so I'm pulling a tier 6 destroyer into tier 7 ranked. And that's because the T61 is basically a tier 7. Let's be honest. But yeah, this ship is really, really good. And I think it can definitely compete in tier 7 ranked. And that's why I put it pretty highly in my tier 7 ranked recommendations. But onto this game. This game has a lot of decision making. So if you're worried about decision making, or maybe you don't know what you should be doing in different scenarios, I think this is going to be a really good game for you to watch. And I'm going to try and explain what I'm thinking. So here at the start, we're going wide on this cap here because we don't want to get surprised in the cap. We're not a gunboat. We're kind of a hybrid, mainly torpedo boat. So we don't want to get surprised in a close quarters fight with one of these DD gunboats. So we're going wide to try and outspot these destroyers and not get caught in the cap. You can see I turned in as soon as I made it around the island to the point where I would have spotted anybody who was just charging into A. That's the first thing. We're trying to use detection to play smart and to not get caught off guard. That's the most important thing in DDs, is learning to position your ship in such a way where you are in control of the situation. Next, we go into the cap because it's free. May as well, right? And I pop hydro and I push for this rock. Why am I doing this? It is because my destroyer friend and Scharnhorst are both pushing towards C, and they're about to be crossing this gap into the B cap. And my hydro can possibly spot the two enemy destroyers if they were charging in this way, right? It's a 4-kilometer hydro, and I would potentially be able to spot them for my teammates, and they could shoot at them. But since I don't see anything, I decide to back off and just torp the gap. I don't want to stay in A. I don't want to get caught in A. There's two destroyers, both with better gun power than me, in there in the B cap, and they could very easily come rush me and just kill me off. And there you can see there is a destroyer in A now. So what are we going to do? We're going to turn around, and we're actually not going to engage him because we're alone. There's no point in engaging in a fair fight, especially when you're at a lacking of gunpowder. We hit a torpedo. That has to be on a destroyer because there's nothing else that would be in B. And there it is. The Moss takes a single torpedo. And that means we can beat him in a gunfight. The Eagle I would still be concerned about, especially in a close quarters gunfight. Eagle has some pretty solid DPM, just poor arcs. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up on this island. I'm going to be pointed bow in, or trying to be bow into the island, so I can quickly just duck behind this island as soon as the enemy destroyers come out. I'm looking to ambush this Moss. He knows I'm here, but he's kind of stuck in that channel because if he tries to go a different way, it's possible that my team could kill him. Now that's not going to happen, but he doesn't know exactly where our Jervis is. The Eagle pops out, and I don't want to take a gunfight with him. I really, really don't. So I am just going to back off, put the island between myself and the Eagle, and wait for this Moss to come out. I do believe he's going to come out. We're still hydroed by him, so we're within 4 kilometers of him. And I'm trying to just take this 1v1, quickly kill him off, and then go deal with the Eagle. We don't want fair fights here. We're trying to take as uneven trades as possible. He had us hydroed, which means he probably torped us before coming out of the gap because we were in reverse, and the gray line told him that he would hit if I continued reversing. So we go forward right away, and as we just shoot the guy, he dies. There you go. That's how to deal with a Moss, assuming you get a torpedo hit. Of course, if I didn't have that torp hit, that fight would have gone very differently because he has more gunpowder. And honestly, I probably would have just run away and gone to my teammates, tried to get some help on the fight if I could. That's the main thing. Now, we're going to torp into this gap because we think this Eagle is going to turn in. I'm thinking that this guy isn't going to go out wide and try and fight me in the open water because that could potentially open himself up to the Scharnhorst in B, and maybe even the Colorado would back up and shoot at him. So that's what I was thinking here, and I was hoping that I could get an engine brake. Eagle engine brakes very easily. There it is. But I didn't get it in time, so he managed to slip past our torpedoes. That's fine, though. This is an okay fight for me to take because the Scharnhorst is in B. The Eagle also has really poor arcs, so me kiting away gives me a massive advantage, even if I don't have the gun advantage. Kill the engine again, you can see how easy it is to get rid of the engine in an Eagle. And he's forced to smoke up, but I believe our Scharnhorst is going to end up getting him. But this is how, even if this guy didn't die to our Scharnhorst, this is a great way to get a health advantage on the enemy destroyers. Taking fights like this, playing cautiously, playing smart, in the long run is going to help you win a lot of these destroyer engagements. It's not about killing the DD right away. It's about getting these small health advantages so you can play aggressively late game, force them off caps, and maybe even kill them later game. Something to notice, look at their T61. He's down to 7,000 HP on the C cap. So this means that I have a massive health advantage over the only remaining destroyer on the enemy team. This is going to be huge for later. It's important to keep that in mind. Who do you have an advantage over, and who has an advantage over you? At the start of the game, it's very simple. If you're, well, at tier 7, if you're a Mehan, you have the most DPM of any destroyer in your tier, and you should be trying to take gunfights. If you're anything lower than that, be careful, right? But you should get a general idea of what the gun power is of your destroyer and the ones you're facing, and that should tell you how to fight them. Maybe you have better concealment than the guy with better gun power, right? You can use that concealment to outspot them, maybe get your team to shoot them. All these things help you win the engagement, even if on paper you don't have the strict DPM advantage. Of course, one of the issues with a lot of these higher DPM ships at these mid tiers is that they have poor shell arcs. So taking engagements where you're kiting away, where you're running away, forces the enemy destroyer to aim even farther ahead of you, and it gives you a big advantage in those fights. So even if you are low on DPM and you just have to take a trade, it's better if you can to be kiting away and forcing them to push into you. That's pretty basic destroyer gameplay, but I think it's important to go over, because that is how you get yourself into scenarios like this, where it is possible to win a game even if your team is down by, well, close to 400 points in this one, and the enemy team is going to win very quickly, especially if they end up killing some of our ships. Now, I'm pushing south of A here because I want to torp this Leon. He is on the flank. He is what is possibly going to threaten my 2 battleships in B, and I would love to torp him. So I'm trying to figure out which way he's going to go. Is he going to turn out? Is he going to go towards the 1 line? Or is he going to turn in and go into B? I'm guessing he's going to turn out, so that's why I turn into B. It's horrible to torpedo at somebody when they're bow on. So I'm trying to get on his flank. So I guessed that he was going to turn out because he's under pressure from an Atlanta, Colorado, and a Scharnhorst. I thought he would want to turn out, but I think he gets behind this island so the battleships can't shoot at him or something. So then he turns in. And unfortunately, that means we are torping from bow on. Ideally, if I had more time or if he had turned sooner, I probably would have gone towards the 1 line myself, and I likely would have torped him on his side. That is the goal all the time, to get the side of battleships. You don't want to be torping from bow on. But we dropped the torps anyway, and we have a bigger problem to deal with. There's New Mexico and Belfast. So hopefully, while that Leon is stuck behind that island, our team is able to kill these 2 guys. Preferably the Belfast first, because that is the biggest threat for me. And our Colorado gets a decent hit in, and I figure I may as well open up if he's on 5,000 HP. I'll probably take some damage, but it's worth getting the radar out. That's really the only thing that can stop me from carrying this game, because as we looked at earlier, the T61 is on lower HP than me, meaning I have the massive advantage in that fight. He's on 4,000 HP. Yes, we're going to take some pain here, but that's not a big deal considering, well, we have 3 times his HP at this point. So I'm thinking, how do I deal with this New Mexico? I'm thinking that maybe I should go YOLO rush him, but that would probably throw away too much HP, so I decide to wait behind this island for a little bit, hoping that my battleships can get a little bit more damage in on him, and then I'm going to pop out and try and shoot him with my guns. Unfortunately, our Scharnhorst does finally go down, so we are at a pretty big disadvantage. The enemy team wins in 3 minutes. on their single cap. Well, 3.5 minutes. And, well, this Colorado hopefully is going to live, but as you can see, he's not on a lot of health. This New Mexico is on low enough health that I can probably just go gunboat him. And this is his heal being used right now. So we know he has about 10 to 12,000 HP, I think, to gain back from the heal. I'm hoping my Colorado is going to get another shot into him. And I'm pretty sure he used his damage control as well, so we'll try and light a fire, and if he goes broadside, use AP. T61, and all German ships for that matter, have really, really strong AP that just doesn't have very good pen, and it doesn't have very good pen angles. So it's only really useful when people give you flat broadside, but the AP can crush people. Now we've brought it back to a 2 versus 2, but the enemy team is still gonna win. So we have to get into the C cap as quickly as possible. Now this here is the moment where it is up to you to carry the game out. You're the last one alive. It's entirely possible for you to win the game, but what are the steps that you have to do? Well, step 1 is find the T61 in an isolated fight where the Leon can't help him. And fortunately for us, the T61 comes to find us. That was going to be my goal, was to find him in an isolated fight. That was the plan after getting the C cap. I thought, I'll get the C cap, that'll get our points ticking, that'll stop the enemy points from ticking, and then we need to go isolate a fight with the T61. How would I do that? I would keep an eye out for which caps are being captured. I was going to guess that the T61 would probably go for B, and the Leon would probably go for A, and then I would have tried to take a fight in B against the T61. But that didn't need to happen because the T61 came to find me. So, left in a 1v1, and we're still going to win on caps, but only just. So we do need to get into C, and the Leon is probably on his way to A or B at this point. It's important to note here, I stay angled to the smoke that the T61 had. We don't want to eat torpedoes here. That is really, really, really important there. You notice how I stopped and reversed back into the cap at the same angle. Eating torpedoes, I mean, obviously that would just be the end of the game. And we don't want to do that, so you always got to be careful after you kill a destroyer if he launched his torpedoes. I don't know if this guy did. I think he just tried to use his guns to kill me. But that is often a play. When a destroyer knows they're going to die, they'll try and get their torpedoes out as a last-ditch effort to potentially sink the person who sunk them, which isn't a bad play to make, actually. And it catches a lot of people off guard because they relax and they think the danger is over once the ship has been sunk, when actually there are torpedoes in the water. So we're on to 3 kills already, and 3 solo caps. So we've put a lot of work in this game already. Yes, obviously we don't have a ton of damage, but I think as a destroyer, controlling caps, contesting caps, and making sure kills happen when they do is your role. And that's what I was trying to do this game. Now, this Leon, look at his positioning on the map. The reason I torped this gap is I believe that Leon isn't going to turn around and come south. I think he's going to go north through that gap and try and get into B as fast as he can. If he doesn't, and he does turn around, notice where I'm keeping my concealment. I'm trying to keep my concealment radius to a point where I'm going to spot this Leon coming around this island, and he won't spot me. I don't want to get caught in a very close range fight with the Leon. And you notice we're not spotting the Leon, meaning I think my prediction is right. And there we go. We have the confirmation that the Leon went north through the gap. So now I can turn in very sharply, making sure my concealment doesn't reach that Leon. It's very, very important that you don't get caught in concealment range. But my goal here is to come around these islands, try and reset and torpedo this Leon in B, making sure he never gets the B cap. And I need to get into A, because if it stands just like this, the enemy team is going to win in 3 minutes. And especially if I let him get the B cap, he's going to win even faster. So it's very important for me to get into A and stall out B. So once we're about to go around this island, meaning safety, I do shoot. And that resets the cap. And you notice we go dark right away. There's very little risk there. His guns weren't even turned towards me. The torpedoes I sent out were behind the gray line. And that is because I thought he was going to turn away from me once I shot him and try and angle to me and go out through that north gap, maybe trying to get to sea. But it's important I get around this island very quickly, because you can see how far the cap has ticked. And the Leon does exactly what I thought. I need to get my guns on him as quickly as possible to reset. Our torpedoes do a great job resetting as well. There we go, we get to high caliber. So we did get some damage in this game. And then we're just going to gunboat them. We're in the cap. There's no way they win this now. And I believe my guns actually finish them off. So there we go. A pretty amazing game. I thought this was an excellent example of playing a destroyer, not panicking under stressful situations, and making good decisions to win the game for your team. And there you can see we're rewarded with 4 kills and 2,500 base experience. And you can see 2 tier 6 destroyers at the top of each scoreboard in tier 7 ranked. Now, that's not a perfect measure of whether a DD is broken or not, but I would say T61 is one of the strongest destroyers at mid-tier. So if you didn't know, the T61 is actually going to be removed from sale soon. So I don't know if I'd recommend giving Wargaming money based on their recent activity with this game. I'm not a huge fan of what they've been doing. But if you do want this ship or you're interested in it, you got to pick it up soon. It's a very, very strong tier 6 destroyer, especially with torpedoes, and that's the build that I'm running on it. You can see we do have pretty much all of the survivability upgrades, right? And then we are running the adrenaline rush as well as fill the tubes. This gets our torpedo reload down to 61 seconds, which is kind of incredible for nearly 14,000 damage torpedoes at tier 6. Of course, with German destroyers, the torps don't get much better as you go up into higher tiers. You just get more gun power. So they are hybrids through and through. Mid-tier, it is more torpedo-focused. Higher tier, a little more gun-focused. But it's a very fun ship to play. And having Hydro really does help you in a lot of situations, giving you the ability to know where torps are and not eat torpedoes, hopefully. Use your smoke and then Hydro someone, and you know you're spotting someone from within your smoke and you can kill them. It's very nice. And we're running propulsion mod, torpedo tubes mod, engine room protection, as well as main armaments mod 1. Pretty standard. You can see I've got 140k XP on this ship, so I do really enjoy this one. So, and yeah, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. A little more technical look at one of the games I played, less game mechanics and more decision making. Hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.